Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, an adult-friendly communicator. Hi, how you doing? I'm Mr. Moohead, your host for the next however many damn minutes I feel like doing of Moohead Radio. I want to say hello to Zargon7, one of the new people who subscribe to the radio station. You're a braver man than I. I don't even subscribe to my own podcast, but then again, I'm an iconoclast. I think that's what it means anyway. Today's show, dedicated to Papa John Schnatter. What would we do without him? Well, the way that I look at it is this. There are some people who I just disagree with philosophically or politically. And some of those people are my friends, okay? I mean, I like them. I mean, WRX Chad, all right, better known as just Chad, here on Moohead Radio, who watches the show sometimes. I mean, great guy. We share a love of automobiles, and he's a really good guy. And he and I just disagree politically. A lot of people I disagree. Look, I'm friendly with a lot of people in Northeast Ohio. It's a red state, and I'm not a red state guy. And I'm living here in South Carolina. That's a red state. And my doubles partner, he's a Republican, a very conservative Republican, and is very pro-Trump. But he and I are doubles partners and friends. All right. It is, even in this age of total isolationism, it is possible to be friends with people who think differently than you do politically. That's because as a cow, I have an expansive mind, and I'm always willing to listen as to why somebody feels the way they feel. But Papa John Schnatter, just a big cocksucker. There's a big difference, okay? And it has nothing to do with his politics. It has to do with him. He's just a big fucking dick. He is. I mean, anybody who would put themselves in front of a camera and say, I'm the image for my franchise. I mean, stop and think how many people have done that. There are fake people like Flo from Progressive Insurance, right? Going back, way back, Mr. Whipple and Charmin bathroom tissue. Probably too young to remember that. These were actors, or are actors, who represent a character who represents a company. Then there are real people like Colonel Sanders. And I know there are fake Colonel Sanders now because the real one's dead and planted. But the bottom line is that Colonel Sanders was real. And he really was the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy. When you use yourself, Dave Thomas did it for Wendy's, best burgers in the business. But you didn't read about Dave Thomas, having flings on the street corner with prostitutes. I mean, if you're going to be like Mr., single, double, and triple guy for Wendy's, I mean, you have to keep your nose clean. That's kind of the deal. I'm the spokesperson. I represent my company, and nobody really knows what I'm like. But you know something? Dave Thomas was the guy who started working behind the counter flipping burgers, and he was a regular guy. And so that's why he was the one who was chosen. Basically, it's like, go ahead, be the spokesperson. You're a natural for this kind of thing because you're not an actor and you come across as real. Then you have Papa John Schnatter with his makeup. All right. Guy wore more makeup than Marilyn Monroe. I swear to God, Andy Warhol could have done a fucking lithograph of him. I mean, talking about an absolutely fake, false-looking person, and then this, I mean, he had all of the integrity and charm of a used car salesman crossed with a snake oil salesman. I mean, and then he tells you that his pizzas have better ingredients in them, and they cause cancer, I'm sure. I mean, it's all processed shit. There's nothing natural about a Papa John's pizza. Let's be honest. Well, let's be honest. I mean, there's nothing natural in the other pizzas either, but they don't lie to you and tell you, oh, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. I mean, do you want to know where the pepperoni comes from? It's a fucking Siamese. It's a Burmese. It's a tabby cat. Come on, folks. Get real, better ingredients. What, the The can he gets his sauce from is a better ingredient than the can that Pizza Hut gets theirs from? Please. But then the disingenuousness of it that makes it incredible is he put himself in that whole stupid NFL thing. I never want to hear about the kneeling players again. I just don't want to hear about it. No more, okay? Uncle. But he put himself and his ego and his political aspirations and beliefs ahead of his own company. And that's where it started going downhill. And then it finally culminated with what we knew Papa John was about, you know, better ingredients, better pizza, don't like selling to niggers, Papa John's. Okay? We kind of knew where this was going all along because he's an asshole. And now I can tell you, not every conservative Republican is a racist, but Papa John Schnatter, remarkable for his ability to accept the responsibility to be a spokesperson for his company and turn around and do that. Hey, Spidey, how you doing?
All righty.
Hey, I'm glad you made it, Brian.
I was waiting for your my Gmail invite.
I sent it to you. Oh, I sent one. Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, I still don't have one.
Wow. Maybe that's why nobody else showed up. I send it right through.
This is the first. This is the first time that the link from YouTube has actually worked for me. So,
well, I mean, this thing works intermittently in many different ways. It didn't really work because my invite didn't get to you. So sometimes it works one way, sometimes it works another way. Or if you're Bob Dole, sometimes it just never works at all. So the way that I look at it is this works about half the time. I'm sorry you didn't get your invite. And that means Matt didn't get his. And that
Bob
means
Dole takes 3 little blue pills every day.
I sure do, damn it. Bob Dole. There's the guy who. Yet not only can I see impotence in him, but frustration because of the impotence. No, but Michael didn't get his either. None of them. Nobody got there.
John McCain.
Hey, you know, from what I understand, based on his Hanoi Hilton days, he could stand up to anything. Okay. No more torture jokes. No more. Mr. Moohead, be nice. But at any rate, that's why I am fiestivating here, just because Papa John Schnatter is, you know, although he's still going to make millions of dollars off that shit pizza, any public humiliation that could happen to him is a good thing for me. That's a good thing. And I've been decrying him for about 2 years, and it's just comeuppance time is what it amounted to. Brian, I want to talk about something. Bigger is not always better. Do you believe that?
Well, it depends on the context.
Okay. When is bigger better?
Oh, definitely dick size.
Okay. So you went the obvious. But
11 inches is much better than 3 inches.
But isn't girth
every fucking woman ever?
Isn't girth more important than length, though?
I guess if you're in the 7 to 9 range, then yeah, or 6 to 9 range.
Yeah, beer can size. You know, it's like, you know, party on, girth. Look, I make these up as I go along. I never said they were funny. Just back off. All right. So name another time in which bigger is better. Oh, Stephen Rose, by the way, says, I won't be able to enter today's show. Not enough girth.
He's lost too much weight. He can't fucking get through the door anymore.
Yeah, Zargon 7 is like just getting baptized. He goes, yeah, this is just the second live stream of Moohead Radio for me. It's like the brain damage doesn't start until the 5th one, so you still have grace. All right.
Wait until football season, my friend. Wait until football season.
Stephen Rose, he won't be able to enter today's show. However, he is watching. So that's that. So is there any other instance in which bigger is better?
Well, bigger is definitely better when it comes to apartments. So there are, like I said, there are definitely times when you would rather have bigger
accommodations.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that makes sense because when I remember when I lived in apartments, when I living the gypsy life as a radio guy, and I was all
if
over.
If you're a size, let's say 46, 48 waist, you don't want to be stuck in size 28 underwear.
No, that's correct. I mean, yeah. So bigger, that's
bigger
right.
Definitely better in that instance.
Matt and Kev show says Matt won't be.
Now, when it comes to women, that's not always the case. You definitely don't want to get stuck under a 700-pound woman like Roseanne.
No. I mean, you say her name, and
you would have a whole new appreciation for the bovine species.
Look, you say Roseanne, you say that name, and I smell vaginal odor. I mean, it's disturbing. And I don't even want to think about that. Make it go away. Matt and Kev,
especially when you can't run away from it.
He's not going to do the show either, Matt and Kev show, because he's got some other things to do. But everybody's really waiting to football season, and I understand that because there's really not a whole lot happening. But the reason I'm getting at this,
I am enjoying the summer league, though.
So am I.
Enjoying.
So am I.
You know, it would be so much fun if we could get these kid calves, as I've been calling them, to. I mean, they're really not babies anymore. They're kids. To me, they're kids. They could be my kids. But I learned the value of a condom a long time ago, so there you go.
Yeah, and I like them too because they're usually a little larger than apartments, but smaller than houses. But they still care for the property. Forget it. If it went by you and you didn't pick it up, it's too late. You can't get it now. Bigger is not always better. If you watched Wimbledon today, all right, the Wimbledon semifinal, which was between two guys that maybe nobody in the chat room even knows, John Isner, the 6'10" giant, versus the 6'8" giant, Kevin Anderson from South Africa. Isner is American. The thing went on for 6 fucking hours. There were no rain delays. There was nothing like that. It was, they play out the fifth.
That's that whole you got to win by 3 sets thing.
By 2. You got to win by 2, and you can play it out. And it went 26-24 in the 5th set. I mean, it was like, oh my God. You know, it was.
That's when you need a rules change.
that is when you need a rule change. And, you know, could you imagine if at any point in his career, Ron Jeremy, when he was doing porn, if they said, you know, we've totally lost use of the editing machine. So we can't like do today's thing tomorrow. You've got to do it all today, Ron. And he's thinking to himself, how the hell is that fucking possible?
Yeah, there were no little blue pills in Ron's day.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's what happened to these guys on center court. It was a horrible thing to witness as John Isner, probably about halfway through the 50 games and about maybe 20 games into the 5th set, just seized up. And through sheer heart, you know, he fought.
Can you imagine being on the losing end of that? Now, I go back to, I grew up in Illinois, so I got to see like every fucking Cubs game ever when they were terrible. And I remember watching and sitting through the 23-inning game with the Phillies.
Yep.
And, you know, at the time, you know, when you're a little kid, you don't care. I think I was 10 at the time. I didn't care that it was, you know, X amount of hours long.
Well,
because I got to see Mike Schmitz play, and I get to see some of the other people that I.
Well, when you were a kid, that's one thing. But I mean, times have changed. We live in the era of the soundbite. Everything that is good is fast. Our food is fast. Our sound bites are fast. What we watch on the internet is fast. We like everything expedient. And here we have two things.
And now we have our orgasms fast.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to sit around and wait. You can watch 30 back-to-backs if you want. They've all been edited together. We have no attention spans anymore. That is the bottom line. However, we've got two things. We've got baseball with games running over 3 hours, and we've got tennis insisting on this antiquated rule at Wimbledon where, we're not even going to play a tiebreaker in the fifth set. We're going to just play the whole thing out. And then we end up with something that resembles waterboarding. The one guy was just, I mean,
as the tennis guy, did they do away with the double break point?
What's the double break point?
Well, there was some of the tournaments that I remember, they had the double break point where you could get 2 points.
No, I think that may have been something they did for World Team Tennis, possibly as part of a promotional thing, playing around with the rules. But no, the purity of the game.
That was back when McEnroe and Connors were playing. So
yeah, Billie Jean King, and back in the WTT, World Team Tennis. But no, they're still playing it the same way that fucking Don Budge was playing the game. And it's like 5 sets at Wimbledon. You can only wear all whites at Wimbledon, okay? Which is really interesting because the South Africans were the only ones who really like that. And then you wind up
with, not so much anymore.
No, well, I mean, nothing good lasts forever. And then you take the next step, which is, not only is that we're going 5 sets and it's the win by 2 thing, and we end up with a 6-hour match where one guy ends up, and the guy who lost, I mean, it was like his soul was sucked out of his body. I mean, it was like, oh, Lord Jesus, why did I just do this to myself? If you could be in his body right now, like being John Malkovich, if you could be John Isner, my God, I mean, he's probably holed up in a hotel room going, oh, fuck! In anguish because he lost and in mortal pain because his entire body has seized up. And you know something? The people who watched it, this is the amazing part, the Brits, it's like, oh, go ahead, honey, please get me another glass of champagne and some strawberries and cream, please. And then 6 hours later, the second match of the day is just about to begin. And it's like, holy shit, how long have we been here, dear? So by the time Djokovic and Nadal took the court, people had already been there for 6 hours. And then nobody's cheering for the second match because it's like, fuck, I mean, we're just exhausted. We kind of feel like Isner and we want to go home. I mean, it's the worst thing you can do for the game. Bigger is not always better. What they should do is go back to 3 sets. Eliminate this 5-set nonsense because the criteria of the game has totally changed. I mean, the athletes train differently. The game is played at a completely different speed and pace. Serves are 140 miles an hour, not 94 miles an hour. It's like and they play far more tournaments today than they've ever played in the past, And it's like,
I remember when 115 mile an hour serve was a big deal.
Yeah, well,
second serve.
Isner hit 142 on the gun today, man. I mean, it's like this is, and the other guy, Anderson was regularly hitting 132 and peaked at 137. I mean, this is not your father's Oldsmobile. And the criteria of the game has changed, so the way they play it should change. It should be, I'd rather see better quality tennis for 3 sets. If they want to go to the must win by 2 at the end of 3 sets, okay, I can kind of deal with that. If you don't want to just do it quick with a tiebreaker, I get that. But this notion of going on forever, the caliber of tennis wasn't good. They were over 100 service aces, and that didn't even include the service winners where guys got their rackets on the ball. Can you imagine that? 100 points were played in that match where a guy served and the other guy didn't even get his racket on it. Now, that can't be good for the game.
You can appreciate this. Can you imagine trying to hit that with a wooden racket?
I can't imagine hitting it, period. I played against a guy with a 115 serve. And you know something? If I didn't lunge in the direction that I thought the ball was going to go, it was by me. Forget about it. I mean, you had to guess. And even if you guessed too aggressively, the ball would hit you in the sternum and it fucking hurt. It's like really difficult. But I can't even envision 140 miles an hour. That's just like fucking crazy. I remember one year when Roddick served the ball on the clay at the French Open, and he hit it with so much spin and downward trajectory that it stuck in the court. It literally embedded in the court. And I said, that's it. It's like, the guy's on steroids. Next, it's like, this is not good. This is not good for the game. And the same thing for baseball. These 3-hour-plus games where the pitcher throws to first base 85 times, it's not good for the game. The criteria has changed. Pitchers today pitch with more stress and strain on their arms than ever 50, 60, 70 years ago. It's not the same game. Why can't we update these games?
And that's why they have to break it up, and they have to have all these specialists where you've got your 5-inning starter, you've got your setup man, your long relief, and then you've got your 1 to 2 inning closer, and then that's it.
Yeah, but the thing is that 9 innings of baseball at today's tempo is always going to take 3 hours. They're not going to change that. But you could change tennis into 3 sets. Let the men and the women play the same duration. And you know something? If it's good tennis, people will watch it. But this.
Yeah, that's why I'd rather. Among other things, that's why I'd rather watch the girls play, because you don't get these fucking 17-year things with guys you don't know.
Well, and not only that, but the women actually rally the ball back and forth. I mean, these points are so over, but the game is so fast. I mean, everything about this, something like today should never have happened. Just never have happened. And it's true. I only watched women's free skating in the Olympics because guys were not as graceful and beautiful as women. And, the men, yes, they could jump higher and they could at the time do triple and quad axles and all those leaps. And the women hadn't completely gotten there until the Japanese girl did. She hit the first triple in Olympic competition, but it was the beauty of it. It was the elegance. It was the lines, the grace. It was just beautiful. The men were rawly athletic, yes, but for figure skating, just give me the beauty. And for tennis, I want to see strokes. I want to see, back and forth, little drama. There's no drama when guy hits the serve 140 miles an hour, guy watches it go by and walks to the other side of the court. That happens 100 fucking times. That's not entertainment. So bigger to me is not always better. And I think tennis should do something about that. Now I'm going to get to the chat room because we have people making comments in the chat room. Let's see. Adam Silver finally admitted that NBA has no competitive balance. I mean, admitted? He actually said that he thought that the Warriors were good for the NBA. So bald-headed fuck. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, I sit here and I try to be balanced about things, and I'm Jewish, but it's getting hard to support. It's getting hard to support this Silver guy, just like it was David Stern. Very difficult. How is it that it's always a Jewish guy in charge of the NBA? That's another thing I don't get. Has there ever been a Jewish basketball player worth a damn?
I'm not a Jewish guy, by the way.
Yeah. But I mean, who was the last Jewish NBA superstar? Yeah. I mean, I can say that Sandy Koufax, left-hander, Dodgers, was Jewish, right? I mean, I can name some sports figures. Max Baer was the heavyweight champion. He was Jewish. I can name people historically who were Jewish, but I'm having trouble coming up with an NBA player. I don't know about the NFL either because they never take their helmets off. It would be easier to tell if they did, but they get penalized if they do. So I can't tell. But on a basketball court.
Well, Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, was in the
Goldberg.
NFL.
Yeah, Goldberg. Yeah, right. But I don't know. Does anybody know of an NBA player? Maybe somebody like Omri Caspi because he's Israeli. He's probably Jewish, don't you think? But but he's not a star. A star NBA player, but it's amazing. Back-to-back commissions, and they're Jewish. And both of them are aggravating as hell. My God. Next. Yeah, but he didn't cave in. He actually embraced the whole thing. And Isaiah Thomas, can you believe that? His Brinks truck is 1 year, $2 million, I could bury my hands in my underwear and come up with that scratch. Folks, this is a guy who thought he was going to get 100 million. Remember? He was talking about that Boston Brinks truck. And all he could settle for was 1 year, $2 million with the Denver Nuggets. And he's not going to start for the Denver Nuggets. He's going to come off the bench for Denver.
Yeah.
And you want to know why he's doing it? The thing that's amazing is it's like P.T. Barnum. It's like he's going to do the same thing that he did with the Cavs. Well, there's always a chance that after the surgery, I'm going to be what I was before, and I'm going to get that 100 million the following year. The guy's the most selfish prick in the world. He's not about making Denver better. Even LeBron committed to 4 years in Los Angeles. You think that Isaiah would be happy to take a multi-year deal of any magnitude with any team, but no, he's still delusional. He's the Papa John Schnatter of the NBA. I have no idea what he's thinking, but yeah, 2 million, some Brinks truck. My God, he could have gotten a scratcher and done that well. Fuck. I thought that was really shocking. Stephen Rose is saying, should Cavs consider starting Colin Sexton? What point they're only going to win, 25 games anyway? I do believe that if there is a way that they will, but I think they need to take a look at Colin Sexton as he plays in practices against NBA players. It's a lot to ask of a physically immature 19-year-old. What's funny?
The Matt and Kev show. LeBron's a Jew.
Well, he could be actually assimilated into the tribe, technically. Technically, I guess he's right. And now he's in Hollywood. Yeah, would that be great if you saw LeBron in his first interview and it's like, LeBron, you just had your first.
That would have been totally awesome if you would have bought OJ's house.
Oh, God. That's not good.
Then he could be stuck with Kato Kalin for the rest of his life.
The house guest that never leaves, but wouldn't that be great? His first interview after a Lakers win. I'm Doris Burke, and I'm here with LeBron. LeBron, how does it feel to get that first one under your belt? Well, I'll tell you, it's really great to be out here in Hollywood. Holy shit, his voice changed too. And why is he bringing his wallet on the court with him? That's fucking weird. Yeah.
Let me show you my kids. It's a roll of 42 credit cards.
If Bronny Jr. doesn't become a starting point guard, he's going to be a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah.
Instead of a Schmendrick.
Yeah. Well, Colin Sexton, I do believe that they want to see him playing minutes, but I think that putting him in a starting lineup.
Platooned with George Hill.
But there's a problem. Right off the bat, George Hill is a half-court player, and Ty Lue has stated that he wants to play up-tempo basketball, and there was no evidence that George Hill either knows how or wants to play up-tempo basketball. It looks to me as if Jetty Osman is on amphetamines, and he'd love to play up-tempo basketball. And there are guys on, like Larry Nance Jr., who would love to play up-tempo basketball. We have a guy in Kevin Love, if he's still going to be on the team, who will outlet the ball after rebounding it. He's a great defensive rebounder into transition basketball. But George Hill is kind of like do not pass go, do not collect $200. I mean, he's kind of the Baltic Avenue of the Monopoly game. He is going to stop and impede all forward motion. I don't know. I think that playing him and Colin Sexton together might be a bit much. But you also have this other possibility that says, they may want to use George Hill as a two guard because of his defensive length and his reach, and may put Colin Sexton at the point, and they may still want to try, for whatever reason, to bring Jordan Clarkson off the bench, who doesn't have a bit of playmaker in him, but they're going to try to stress actually passing the ball to him. And he does have the ability to push tempo, but he just doesn't pass the basketball. So it'll be interesting. I mean, one thing I can say watching Colin Sexton play is that he does have, against a bunch of, as you put it, Schmendricks, a nice looking pull up mid-range shot. He is starting to get to the rack a little better. He doesn't know how to shoot a three. He tries on defense, but he's inexperienced, and he's going to make mistakes. But I have no problem with him getting starting minutes on the team. I told you to look out for Billy Preston. And Billy Preston has played 2 games back-to-back where he's looked like something, except he got tossed out of one of them because of 2 technicals. He and another guy were jawing back and forth and got tossed from the game. And that may not be the best thing in the world. He may be another one of these, who is the guy for the Miami Heat, their center, the one they got from China, the 7-foot guy. Help me in the chat room. Why am I blanking on his name? Hassan Whiteside. He may be that kind of guy who maybe he's just a head case. But Billy Preston was draining threes, and his shot looks like he knows where it's going. Very raw, very green, but I still want to see this kid play more because I think you're going to see him up and down from Canton this year, and that might be entertaining because he's got 6'10" length and he's got range. And in today's NBA, any guy that you can look at who's got the height of Kevin Durant and can shoot threes, you take a look at. And he's also athletic. He looks like he can put the ball on the floor a little bit too. He's got a natural little fadeaway that he needs to work on finding his spots on the floor. But, something to look for anyway. And yes, Kendrick Perkins is basically retired. He's still, I think, a $2.4 million contract that can be bailed in a trade. And that's like the last straw for his career and for the Cavaliers as well and their association with Kendrick Perkins. Matt and Kev show, who cares about tennis? I only watch it for the ladies. Well, you're not going to score any of them based on what I saw the other day, Bucko. No, okay. That's look. Okay, look. It's Friday. It's the end of the goddamn week. I'm sorry. That's
just the pain talking.
That's good. I'm going to use that. What a great excuse to be totally offensive. I like that. Thank you. Oh God!
It was the most snowflake thing I could think of.
No, it's like the Mr. Moohead's theme. People say, "Well, what is this cow character?" And the only way I describe him is he bites the hand that feeds him. That's who Mr. Moohead is. But now it's the pain that's doing the talking. Oh God!
Yeah, my sister had a horse like that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, if you weren't fast enough with the dumping of the honey, she would try to take them out of your hand and possibly your hand with it.
Ooh. Ooh.
One time she bit right through my brother's, got him in the elbow, and bit all the way through his nylon jacket and 2 shirts.
Oh, God.
It was like, what the hell did you just do?
Yeah. Now, Ron Shane is saying, Moo, will the Cavs beat the Lakers? And I predict in Cleveland, yes, but only if it's Louisville Slugger night at Quicken Loans Arena. And yes, the fans will run out of the stands and beat them with baseball bats. That's the only way that's going to happen, folks. So no, they're not going to beat the Lakers. Yeah. Stephen Rose is saying, my father is suggesting that limit the amount of throws pitchers can throw to first base. Yeah. So that would cut off about 3 minutes off the game. I don't know. I don't think, baseball is one of those things that people take a very purist attitude toward. And it's one of the reasons, just like Wimbledon, it's one of the reasons why it's not as popular as it used to be, because the purists are slowly dying. And the younger generation wants something a little more fast and spirited, and baseball is tough. Baseball is a tough one to figure because it's the one sport. I mean, basketball, up and down. Football, there's 11 men on each side running willy-nilly around the field. And I mean, you could sit there and watch a football game, and there are games within a game. It's like, how is the defensive end being blocked? Right, by the defensive end being blocked by the tackle. How is it? How is this guy getting around and bull rushing? Is he doing the swim move? What kind of blocking technique is he being forced to the outside by the tackle? There are games within games. We're running trap plays. Are there holes or not? Are we able to move people on the interior line left or right? It's like press coverage, is the man in the right position when he's one-on-one on an island with a wide receiver? There's games within a game. You can watch a football game with different camera angles and get something different out of it. Virtually any camera you look at, there's something going on. And then there's baseball, and there's like Lonnie Chisenhall getting a cramp in his calf in right field. Just standing there, people standing around, picking their nose. It's like, it takes forever. And it's like, and yeah, we wait for a long home run.
72 times.
Say what?
Adjusting their cup 72 times.
Yeah. I mean,
on camera.
we wait for home runs, and invariably it's the Yankees, Didi Gregorius or whoever who hits them. And, it's kind of like the excitement is so sporadic, that it's like, oh, nothing beats a good pitcher's duel, except a good soccer game or a good hockey game. At least a hockey game has fucking fights in it. Baseball games, I don't know. It's boring. It's dull. And these sports have to do something. Limiting the amount of throws. I'd limit the number of games they play in a season. I'd probably limit the number of innings the games last. Too long. The whole thing is just too long. Amsterdam says Nipsey Russell was Jewish. Now, Nipsey Russell was a comedian, and that's like Sammy Davis Jr. was technically Jewish.
He was the Tin Man and the Wiz for those looking him up on IMDb.
Nipsey was kind of an old Harlem standby over at the Apollo. Nipsey Russell was old-time African-American comedian. There's the LeBron's a Jew comment. Yaphet Kotto? I mean, you went there?
Well, that was the black Jewish guy that I came up with.
That's not bad. I wouldn't have come up with that. Matt and Kev show responding to my comment. If I saw Jennifer Lopez, I'd play defense all day long. He's got his mind on women today, man. I don't know. Oh, but he's backing it up by saying, I'm already married to happily married to a beautiful lady for 7 years. Well, congratulations. I'm happy. And, you know, but if after 7 years you're watching tennis for the ladies, things may not be going so well there, buddy. I don't know. Guys sitting there watching women's tennis for an upskirt shot. That's my favorite. That was my favorite women's tennis moment. There was a women's tennis player, and I'm believing her name was Anna Ivanovic. I believe that was her name. She was Yugoslavian. And it wasn't that she was the best looking woman in the world, but you ever meet a woman, Brian, who she may not be the best looking woman in the room or even on the block or even in 3 blocks, but you know that she's a wild time just by looking at her?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was this Anna Ivanovic. Is that what they are? I'll have to go back and check. But you go to YouTube. We were already on YouTube watching this. And she's the women's player who, in between games on the changeover, changed her underwear. No, I mean, I'm not making this up. She put a towel over her and she managed to extricate herself from her underwear. Do you see her underwear coming right down her, you know, right down to her ankles? Everybody was standing. Oh man, they were all, you know, cheering for her and she's waving. It's like, what a fucking crazy bitch, man. Glenn Close, Boyle the Rabbit. Now, those were the days, those were the days of women's tennis there, Matt and Kev show. Yeah, that's what made me a fan in the first place. Let's be honest about it. She wasn't a bad tennis player either, but man, she's the only one who I've ever seen who changed her underwear at midcourt. Really impressive.
No, the one I always felt bad for was Lindsay. Oh God, what the fuck was her last name?
Lindsey Buckingham, the guitar player for Fleetwood Mac. Lindsay Davenport. Yeah.
Yeah. She just somebody had the joke of she hit every branch of the ugly tree of the wood.
Oh God, come on! She was a great ball striker. You know, that's
yes. I mean, she had the rest of the body was, you know, definitely built for tennis. 5'11" and long as hell.
But she had the face of Amy Schumer. You know, it doesn't pay in the long run. No, Lindsay Davenport was really a good ball striker and a really nice gal too. Really one of the really nice people in professional tennis. Now, Matt and Kev show is saying, how do you know they're fixing their cups? Why are you looking? So we're getting homoerotic references right now from Matt and Kev show accusing us.
But look, because they're zoomed in on the players when they're fucking grabbing their junk
and spitting
and moving the cup around. It's not me, it's the fucking networks.
Yeah, and Matt and Kev show is defending himself. He's on the offensive. He's saying, at least my mind is on ladies, not men talking about their cups. Now he's saying he and his wife watch tennis together. Well, my wife and I watch the baseball players adjusting their cups. It might be nicer for her. I don't really get off on it. I like women's tennis just because it's a more entertaining game. And if they change their underwear at midcourt, that's kind of cool too. Stormy Daniels is a good ball striker. I mean, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. God, that's a name that's never going to go away, is it? Talking about a credible witness. God help us. God help us. This is all right. Let's see what else is happening. You know, oh, here's something that shouldn't be happening. Manny Pacquiao should not be fighting tomorrow. And look, Manny Pacquiao was a great fighter. was being the important word. I'm a fight historian. And if Manny Pacquiao wanted to fight one last time and fight a bozo, I say, okay, let him take his bows and exit stage left. But he's not. He's fighting Lucas Matisse. And Lucas Matisse has one of the highest knockout rates on the planet. This guy hits like a mule, and he's naturally bigger than Pacquiao. And Pacquiao only fights one way, and that's basically coming forward. This has the makings of being a potentially disastrous fight for Pacquiao. And I hate to see great fighters carried out of the ring hurt. But I have a real bad feeling about this one. Now, this fight is going to be on ESPN Plus, which I don't understand. I'm already basically paying for my goddamn satellite television. I'm not paying for ESPN a second time. Fuck you very much. But if you do happen to get ESPN Plus, don't watch the fight. Don't encourage this kind of thing. Matisse is like, I think a natural 140-pound guy. I think they're fighting at 140 or 147 on tomorrow.
Yeah,
right here.
Pacquiao's going to be the next fighter that ends up with some kind of massive neurological issue.
Well, he shouldn't still be fighting. I mean, really, it shouldn't be happening. You know, and here they have the ESPN boxing experts, Dan Raphael, who I've had a running feud on Twitter with.
Is he at least getting $10 million for this?
You know, and I'll tell you, this is a problem because Pacquiao has a gambling issue and ran up a huge gambling debt. And Dan Raphael says Pacquiao by decision. Good fight between two exciting fighters. It's hard to pick against Pacquiao, who deserved to win in his previous fight against Jeff Horn. But the fact of the matter is, Jeff Horn, who's not a very good fighter from Australia, should never have still been around at the end of the fight. And they say Matisse didn't look good in his last fight. I always say puncher's chance, and the puncher's got one last one in him. Ask George Foreman, ask Michael Moore. Pacquiao, meanwhile, hasn't knocked anybody out since 2009, which is exactly when he started going up in weight. Nick Parkinson of the ESPN UK, Pacquiao by decision. Everyone's saying Pacquiao by decision. They're saying that he's got to move and run, which makes for a lousy fight, but I would rather have that happen so he doesn't get hurt. Pacquiao by KO. You know, Pacquiao by KO is what Julio Cesar Chavez is saying. Matisse by TKO is Joe Cortez, a former official. At HBO Boxing, Eric Raskin. Pacquiao by decision. Matisse by decision. I don't see Matisse by decision. Matisse is a guy who probably, if there's going to be a knockout, it will be in rounds 7 through 9. That's kind of how he operates if he's in close and able to get off, you know.
Yeah, but 1 through 6, that means he's going to be beating on Pacquiao pretty good.
Well, if he can get off. I mean, I didn't see Matisse's last fight. So, I mean, fighters age overnight. It is possible. It is possible, but I'm worried about this fight because I saw Pacquiao, and, you know, the problem with Pacquiao is that he got knocked out in a couple of fights, and he doesn't have the chin at the higher weight class. And Matisse, all it takes is one clean shot. He was knocked out cold a couple of years ago. Pacquiao was, with one punch, by a guy who was coming up in weight. I mean, he doesn't have a great chin, and he's old. And, you know, and Pacquiao is now 39. I mean, you know, but I guess Matisse really looked bad in his last fight. So who knows? I don't know. They're all predicting that Pacquiao's going to win, and I'm sitting here saying, I don't know. I'm not feeling good about that at all. At any rate, if you want to watch it, it's tomorrow night. Here's a headline for Cavaliers fans. The Cavaliers, Ante Zizic leaves Summer League, heads home for Croatia-France final. they've given him permission to watch, a soccer game rather than play in the summer league. I think he did everything they asked of him. He was scoring 25 points a night or whatever in the summer league. So that's all well and good. No, he's averaged 20.5 points and 12.5 rebounds in the summer league. So you're not going to see Zizic. That game is tomorrow. The Cavaliers in summer league tomorrow at 4:30 on ESPN2. That one you don't have to pay extra for. By the way, Djokovic was up 2-1 over Rafael Nadal, but play was suspended because the match before them went 6 fucking hours. So everybody who was there didn't even get to see the conclusion of the second match because darkness descended. Hey, this is what's wrong with the game, man. You'd think that you could show up and at least get the final result. Jesus.
Amsterdam apparently likes your Cowway Twitter look.
What's that?
I think he meant Conway Twitty.
But how is that a look? How is my look Conway Twitty?
I don't know, but I liked Cowway Twitter better.
I'm proud to be an Okie from... Was that Conway Twitty?
I don't remember.
I don't remember anything Conway Twitty did. And, I was right about something else, and I love to talk about when I'm right about something because I'm wrong such a high percentage of the time. Corey Kluber gets injection in right knee, will not appear in All-Star game. Now, we talked about the fact that he wasn't looking right. The ball wasn't breaking sharply. He wasn't getting the late movement, and his command wasn't there. Well, of course, when your right knee is blown up, that's what happens. Injection of the right knee, they're draining his right knee, folks. What they're doing is draining fluid out of his right knee and injecting him with cortisone. He's not going to be pitching in the All-Star game. He'll be out 7 days after receiving that anti-inflammatory shot. The question that I have, once again, for Terry Francona is Corey Kluber is probably the only chance that you would have to get anywhere at all in the playoffs because God only knows he's your best pitcher. Francona said just yesterday, well, he was fighting through, he was struggling. We knew he was struggling with command, and they knew the problem. Why would they make him pitch 120 pitches in the game before the All-Star game? What is it about these idiots that they're willing to jeopardize their best pitcher? Get him off the fucking mound. One game against the Yankees, they're not going to beat the Yankees. Fuck that. Get him off the mound and get him healthy. Why? Why is it that we keep bringing back Lonnie Chisenhall, right? And he's inconsequential and he gets hurt anyway, but Corey Kluber is our best pitcher. Why would you make him throw 120 pitches if you knew his right knee was bad? Then turn around and have to get it drained and all that. Oh, my God. It's like, we got a problem. Got a real problem. That doesn't even make fucking sense. But I knew that there was something wrong with him. You can tell by looking at him. The thing about Kluber is that he doesn't miss high in the strike zone. Unless he's up 2 strikes, he's getting you to change the eye level of the batter. He's not consistently up in the zone, but he's getting under that the fastball. He usually has that two-seamer that moves in at the last minute on left-handed batters and comes back into the plate. Things not moving. His slider is flat. The cutter is flat. Guys are hitting home runs off him because the ball's flat. And it's because his right knee's fucked up. Just the same exact thing that was happening to Andrew Miller. Exactly the same thing. So I don't know what it is about the Indians. And this will make you feel better, Brian. Tim Tebow believes in Baker Mayfield. Says rookie quarterback will help turn Browns around, but he also believes in Jesus Christ. So you're really Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying. but neither one is proven. The bottom line is this. I wouldn't take Tim Tebow as an expert in quantifying whether an athlete's going to be successful or not, seeing as how Tebow's on his 14th sport, okay? I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear Tim Tebow's name even associated with Baker Mayfield. The Indians have also gotten rid of Ryan Merritt once and for all. Ryan Merritt, who at his best threw 87, couldn't top 82 to 83. They couldn't get him back together. He was Humpty Dumpty. He was in multiple pieces, and the Indians just decided enough is enough, and they've parted ways with Ryan Merritt. And even though he had one good outing in an important playoff game, that's the end of Ryan Merritt in Cleveland. I don't know.
And yet they still have fucking Kipnis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Starting every game.
Yeah. Guys, horrible. I don't know. I can't justify any of it. The guy I can't justify is Carl Willis. I just don't understand. Everything bad that's happening to our bullpen is just right upon his arrival, just like it was the last time he was here. Just don't get it. And Jimmy Butler turns down an extension offer from the Timberwolves. Does that surprise you?
No, because he's in basically the American version of Siberia.
That's exactly right. He wants to play with Kyrie Irving in New York next year. And Kyrie didn't, he turned down an extension from the Celtics. Money. God. All right. I think I'm done.
Yeah, well, you know what? They belong on the cesspool that is the New York Knickerbockers. Let them go there and they'll flounder and everybody will tout, oh, but they have such great talent, just like they did for Marshmallow Anthony. And, you know.
Yeah, the Knicks have not been a great destination for a lot of people, but they got to get that franchise back up and running. I'm not saying that Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving are not going to guarantee anything in and of itself, but maybe it will at least spark a renaissance of at least interest in New York basketball. At least Spike Lee will get a chubby. Something will come of it, but I don't know. At any rate, I'm done for this. I'm finished. I got to upload this thing, and then I've got to manage to get up the stairs. And this is the pain talking, by the way. And I'll just have to try to struggle my way through the weekend. And I know you'll be thinking of me all the way. Thoughts and prayers, Brian.
I'm sure you'll have some mystical comment on Facebook, and I'll have to respond.
Tots and pears. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate that. You know, you didn't just wait for the invite. You were proactive and you found me. And that's just touching to me.
Oh, yeah. I was looking forward to this, especially when I got screwed out of the last time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, work is work, and you know, storms are storms.
Yeah, dealing with storm damage in the desert. We don't have tornadoes, but we do have. Well, not very often, but we do have these things called microbursts, and it's basically like a mini tornado, and you get winds anywhere into the 45 to 75 range.
Yeah, like a virgin touched for the very first time. Exactly.
And blew part of the car cover off, so I've been dealing with that.
All right. Well, you know, I'm glad that you made the show, and I do appreciate the company here this hour. And we'll do this again on Monday. Okay, man?
All right.
All right. Thanks again.
All right. Bye.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again on Monday. We'll see if anything good happens on the weekend. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.